Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this afternoon session on dynamic support for students with disabilities and health conditions. My name's Erica Schutz, and I'm from the Careers and Student Employment team. I'm joined by my colleague Jen, who will stay online and answer any questions in the chat and just help with some of the logistics. We also have a panel who are going to present to us, and I'll share their details shortly. We do have closed captioning available for those who would like to have captions. So you just enable that down the bottom of your screen where it says live transcription. So we'll kick off. So just a little bit on the agenda, what we'll cover today. I'll do a brief acknowledgement of country. I'll introduce you to our panel and actually have them introduce themselves. We'll hear from Ashley from Australian Network on Disability around some of the programs that are available to our students. And then we'll also hear from the panel. We'll do a bit of a Q&A session with the panel just to give you some more information on what's available to you in terms of support. And we'll give you some information as well on where to go for services and resources. And we'll have time for questions at the end. Most of you are probably very used to Zoom by now, but if you're not, just a few tips and tricks. We will be recording this session so that others can watch it at a later time, and you can also rewatch it if you care to, or if you have to drop out halfway through the session. As it is recorded, if you prefer to turn your video off so you won't be seen, then please feel free to do that. As I said, there will be time at the end for questions. Or if you've got a burning question and you'd rather ask, and in case you forget throughout the session, just pop it into the chat, and Jen and the panel might try and answer that, or we'll answer that for everybody during question time. And just if you can be respectful of others, and if somebody else is talking, don't take yourself off mute and talk over them. That would be great. So acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the Macquarie University land, the Wallamadigal clan of the Darug Nation. We pay respects to the elders and knowledge holders who have and continue to share their wisdom and knowledge, nurturing and sustaining our environments, cultures, and education. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to our panel briefly. So we have Ashley, as I said, from the Australian Network on Disability. We have Kelly Piper, who works in the Macquarie University Student Wellbeing team and is the Manager of Accessibility. And also we have Emily Nathan from Optus, who's here to share their experience with some of the programs that and do offer. So I will actually just get the panel to introduce themselves and just talk a little bit more about their role. So Ashley, I might start with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was about to say good morning. I'm Ashley, and as you know, I'm from the Australian Network on Disability. What I do, I'm a program coordinator. So it's in the name, I help coordinate our PACE mentoring and our stepping into internship programs. My job is more on the student mentee side, or I help support them participate in our programs, lots of discussions about workplace adjustments, and help our programs run quite smoothly. I'll touch on a bit more about our programs later, but yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell. And I'm from Sydney.
Thanks, Ashley, keeping dry. Kelly.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name's Kelly Piper, and I'm the manager of the Accessibility Service here at Macquarie Uni, what was formerly known as the Disability Service previously for those students who have been here a while. Essentially, the role of the Accessibility Service is to support students to actively engage on an equal level with their peers by ensuring that we remove any kind of barriers and provide appropriate adjustments for learning for students who may have a disability or health condition, and also for those people who are carers of people with a disability as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about the service later on today, and also open up for any questions that students might have about the service and what we do. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Kelly. And Emily, if you want to share your role.
Hi all, my name's Emily. I lead inclusion and early career talent at Optus. What that means is that I have oversight of diversity and inclusion across all dimensions of diversity, focus mainly internally at Optus. And then as well on the early careers side, that's oversight on everything from our cadets to our interns to our graduates, and very much looking at the sort of strategy side and also the experience once the individuals are at Optus and have started their journey with us.
Great, thanks, Emily. So what I'd like to do now is hand over to Ashley, who's going to take you through some of the programs, including the PACE mentoring and stepping into program that she coordinates. Thanks, Ashley.
Back again. I'm super excited to talk to you all about our PACE mentoring and our stepping into programs. It's actually the perfect timing for me to present about our programs as applications are open for both. But we'll touch on a bit about that later. So before we begin, I just want to tell you about who the Australian Network on Disability is, to give you some idea from where I come from. So basically, we are a member-based organisation. We're not a recruitment agency and we're not a charity. What we do is our purpose is to advance the equitable inclusion of people with disability in all areas of business, because we would like to create a disability confident Australia. And the way we do this, the way we try to build that disability confident Australia is, in a nutshell, providing expert advice and services on disability to employers, government representatives, and major industry bodies. Next slide. So first up, I'm going to talk about our PACE mentoring program. PACE mentoring is a 16-week professional mentoring program. The reason why I believe it's so successful in my experience working with the program is that there's benefit to the mentee, the mentor, and our organizations who participate. For students with disability, they find it a really great opportunity to develop skills. Could be the soft skills, could be learning about the world of work. They build that confidence throughout the program. They get those really super important networks that they need to be able to take on the world of work and workplace exposure. You'll be surprised how valuable it is having the chance to walk into an office and get insight about a workplace in action. Our mentors have informed us and let us know that what they found beneficial is that they get to develop the interpersonal skills, become those great leaders in their organization. They also develop the understanding of the potential of people with disability, the barriers they face in the workplace, which helps them become a bit more disability confident as managers, employees, as peers in the office. The purpose of the program isn't about gaining employment with your mentor's organization. It's all about helping you, the mentee, to prepare for the world of work. Next slide, thank you. So to explain the program commitment, what the program is in a nutshell, is that you should be available. We run the program twice a year, I should say. There's the autumn session and then there's the spring session. Autumn goes between April to August and spring is August to December. You should be attending 6 to 8 meetings with your mentor during the program. They typically go for 1 to 2 hours in our experience, but we find that it's important to work with your mentor to find that happy medium. That some may find that an hour session is a lot more beneficial than a 90-minute session because they're quite exhausted for those last 30 minutes. Some people who participate find they may find that they prefer a virtual meetings, virtual program. This could be due to, as we know, we're in the pandemic, some may not be comfortable meeting face-to-face or going into the office. We do request this information in your application. Others may have a mixed mode of delivering, which means that you'll meet them face-to-face and virtually, or some may request face-to-face only. So you'll find that there could be a mixture of all three, of maybe 2 or even 3 ways of meeting with your mentor. If you do meet with your mentor face-to-face, it should be at the mentor's workplace. This helps you gain that workplace exposure and see workplaces in action, which is really supported to help building your confidence to take on the world of work. Sometimes, depending on the organization, you might actually be able to sit in and see a team session in action or sit in on a meeting. And it does help prepare you for that journey. We encourage the mentees to lead the meetings. The reason why is because we see PACE mentoring as an individualized development opportunity. PACE can mean something different for everyone. Someone may apply for the program with the intention of helping, seeking a mentor, potentially that works in recruitment. This is quite a common application I've seen because they're going to be applying for a graduate program soon. Someone may apply with the intention of, I would like to learn how to build my soft skills in the workplace. I have a job, but I'm not sure how to be able to gain that promotion, develop throughout the workplace. So this is why mentees are encouraged to lead the meetings. So you arrange the meeting times, you set the agenda based on what you would like to work on, your goals for the program. Then you discuss your goals with your mentor and you follow up with them and you help structure that program that for you based on what you believe is your goals, your aspirations to work on. Some people may participate 2 times, 3 times because they have a different goal each round. That's okay. We also, part of the program involves that you need to complete an agreement, an initial survey with your mentor. This helps us see your development. This helps you track your own development throughout the program. And the program agreement helps you understand what you would like to work on through the program, helps you track your aspirations, your goals, what you would like to achieve. So I think in a nutshell, what to expect is an individualized development opportunity that you can mold to based on what you need to work on, and a program where you can gain workplace exposure. It's quite flexible, as you can see. 6 to 8 meetings over 4 months, 1 to 2 hours is not as intensive as you would imagine. So, and I think that's maybe biased as I help coordinate the program, but I do think it's a really great program. Next slide. Currently, our autumn applications are open, and I just want to give you some insight on the type of organizations that are participating. For example, ANZ Bank, SBS, we've got a lot of lawyers this round. Sarcoma Lawyers is one of them. NAB, IAG, which is insurance. There's a lot of technical advisory that comes from there. QBE is insurance as well, and a lot of federal government departments. This is just a small glimpse. We do have, I think, 30 or so organizations participating. Something I'd like to note is that while we have such a diverse group of organizations, there's even more diverse mentors in the organizations. A lot of people believe if you work for ANZ Bank or NAB, you only work in banking. But there is a lot of people who try to make sure that place runs smoothly. You'll find that there'll be someone who works in advertising that is participating as a mentor. I know there's a few catering, food technology, events, people coming through our autumn cohort, which is super exciting. As in another world, I probably would have been an event planner. But the best, something I just want to let you know is that there is so many mentors available in so many different areas. And I think that helps us connect you to a mentor that can help you with your goals and aspirations. So we have extended our applications for PACE, which is why this is quite perfect timing. They close this Sunday on the 13th of March now. If you'd like to apply, you just need to go on our website and fill out the application form. Application form is quite simple. You just let us know your goals, your industry interests, what you would like to work on, basically. A little bit about yourself and a little bit of an introduction for us to share with your mentor if you can find you a really good partnership. I highly recommend you to thinking about it. You can get in touch with our team if you'd like to discuss this further before the end of the week. But PACE does run twice a year. So if you think maybe this round is not the time, we always have spring. And spring is going to have quite a different group of mentors, diverse group of organizations participating. And I always find each round there's always someone for everyone. Now, next part is stepping into. Goodness, I've been talking a lot. My apologies. So stepping into is in our paid internship scheme for students with disability. It also runs twice a year. We have a winter and our summer program. They run in the university break. Applications have opened for our winter program. So basically, in a nutshell, it's degree relevant work experience. You're not fetching coffee, you're not sitting there doing something that has nothing to do with the organization. You're actually working on something real. You're doing quality, valuable work. The purpose of the program is you get to develop skills, build your networks, and enhance your resume. So the way it works, we always get questions, where did this internship come from? I never knew this organization was offering internships. Our members, the employers, approach us and let us know that they have these roles available for students with disability to gain experience, in a nutshell. And then we go and find super excited applicants, students to help fill those roles quite excitingly. What you can expect as part of stepping into is interview experience. This is something I'd like to put an emphasis on. If you apply for the program, you are guaranteed an interview with a member of the Australian Network on Disability team. It does not guarantee that you'll be shortlisted and you're interviewed by the organization you're applying for, but we interview every single applicant. As we know, some people may find that their results may not be, or their resume may not be as polished as they'd like to be. But we like to speak to everyone to learn about their aspirations, their goals, and to even introduce you and talk to you all about workplace adjustments. So it's not just getting to know you, but it's helping introduce you to the topic. So I think that's a really important part, and I think it's a really great part because there's no such thing as too much interview experience because it's not an easy thing no matter what stage in life you're in. So this is something we can guarantee you. It's a supportive recruitment process. Our team is always here to help you, the intern, the applicant. Someone is there to offer you support throughout every stage. Valuable feedback. You will gain feedback about your application to your interview with the host organization. This is something we're very, we love this feedback because without feedback, how are we going to know what we're going to improve on? And degree relevant work, which I think is super important. You'll be working on real projects, real work, and I find that that is what is quite motivating. It gets you motivated to come to your internship on the day-to-day. You're getting to do real quality work. So stepping into runs across Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, everywhere. Something I'd like to put an emphasis on is while we're in Sydney, I do find a lot of Sydney-based applicants have interest in federal government departments. So we do get quite a fair bit of federal government placements that you might be interested in as well in both rounds, winter and summer. We have public and private sector organizations, usually quite a clear balance, and we offer in a variety of disciplines. Commerce, law, engineering, IT. We do have some internships, particularly in the public from a state and federal level that are open to all disciplines. The host organization pays a fee. You do not. I get this question quite a lot. There is no charge for you to participate. You are paid for your time in the placement. It is a paid internship scheme, but you do not pay a cent. These workplace adjustments focus, this is why we interview every applicant. We support you throughout your placement to learn about adjustments, what adjustments work for you. And you'll get ongoing support throughout the placement, regular check-ins with a member of our team. Currently, our timeframes is that applications are open. May to April. When you apply, we will interview you progressively. So once you apply, within a week, you should be invited to an interview. April 3rd, our applications close. Then between May to June, you will be invited to an interview with the host organization if you are shortlisted to the next stage. Then between June to July, your internships commence. Internships can be completed on a full-time or a part-time basis, but hours and flexibility should be negotiated with your host employer prior to commencing your placement. We believe in flexibility. We just make sure that you communicate this with your organization or even in your workplace adjustments if you need a certain time frame or hours or days worked. Next slide. I just want to give you a glimpse of some of our organizations participating in New South Wales in stepping into winter. Australian Museum, super popular every time they participate. Northern Sydney Local Health District, for those health students, it's really exciting. We've got a few placements with them. Nestle, New South Wales Department of Communities and Justice. There is a lot they're offering in a variety of disciplines, from marketing all the way to the social science. Sydney Opera House, this one's exciting. It's a first time they're participating in our program. The Reserve Bank of Australia for any of you finance students, MedHealth for an allied health student. As you can see, huge variety, and this is just a small glimpse of the New South Wales-based members that are participating in our programs. In Australia, there's over 150 roles available. I would recommend checking our website for the full details. There is a lot more available, particularly in New South Wales, in such a variety of disciplines and areas that will surprise you. To be eligible, you need to be a final or penultimate year student. Undergraduate, postgraduate is fine. You should identify as having a disability, mental health condition, or a chronic illness. You should have working rights in Australia. To note is, to clarify, you can be an international student and apply for our program, but some of our organizations do have requirements in terms of citizenship. So I would recommend looking at the position description. They will note if they're open to international students or if they're only open to Australian citizens or PR. This does fluctuate by the organization, but we have offered and we are open to international students quite a bit. Do you want to get in contact? I'll post them in the chat as well during the session. Our email is on the screen, applications@an.org.au, and our phone number. If you'd like to apply for either program, please go to our website. Don't hesitate to apply or get in contact and we can discuss the application process further with you. And if you'd like any support, we're always here to help with the application process. And I know your wonderful careers team are there to help as well. So yeah, that's our programs in a nutshell.
Thanks so much, Ashley. There's some great information there. And just a couple of key dates for PACE mentoring for this next round. Get your applications in by 13th of March, and for the stepping into by the 3rd of April for the next round. So mark those dates in your calendar if you're keen. So we're just going to now hear a bit more from the whole panel. So we've just got a bit of a Q&A. So I'll stop sharing my screen so that I and you can see full screen and see the panelists in all their glory. So Kelly, I might start with you. Why is it important for students to register with either the University Wellbeing or accessibility teams?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's an important step to take for students who, as I mentioned before, recognise as having a disability, health condition, or are a carer of a person with a disability, because the service is essentially there to look at evening out that playing field for students that might have disruptions all require adjustments for their studies. And I guess the one thing I wanted to highlight about that is that the accessibility service is not just there to assist students with things like exam adjustments or the more common ones around getting extensions for assignments. It's there to also assist students throughout their entire journey at university. So it doesn't have to necessarily be just those theoretical components around university study, but it's also there about providing access and inclusion opportunities for all the events that are on campus. But also when we look at, and what's particularly interesting about today's panel and today's talk, is also the support that we can provide students in that interaction with work integrated learning activities. So things like work experience opportunities, their practical placements, say if they're in teaching, or clinical placements if they are in sort of those professional programs. And we look at putting in place what we call work integrated learning access plans with those students who might be going into those activities, and looking at what kind of workplace adjustments they might need when they're going onto those placements. So we're trying to really look at highlighting that we've got this holistic support when we're looking at adjustments and opportunities for students, and looking at what the university can provide for that experience from, you know, entry into university to exit into university. So just wanted to highlight that we're here throughout that journey. So I would encourage any student throughout the journey, doesn't matter if they're right at the beginning or right at the end, to come in and engage with the service and register for support. Yeah.
Right, thanks, Kelly. Ashley, I might just turn to you. The programs obviously that you've mentioned are great, and lots of great employers that the students can potentially work for or be mentored by, but some people may be a bit unclear whether they're, I guess, eligible to access these programs. So can you tell us what the legal definition is of a disability?
Thank you. That's actually a really good question, because I receive it quite a lot. Legally, disability is very broad, and something I just want to know is that it's very clinical as well, which can be a bit confusing when you try to track down the legal definitions. But in a nutshell, it's basically a person is considered to have a disability if they have a limitation or restriction that lasts more than 6 months, technically. And it can mean it covers, I think the broadness in a way is also a benefit because it covers quite a bit. It could mean a physical, intellectual, a sensory disability, which is like vision impairment. It could mean neurological, learning, immunological as well. Sometimes people do go, oh, well, my diabetes is well managed. I've heard this quite a lot. I don't think I'm eligible. You are eligible for our programs. Something else I'm finding quite common as well, people's medication is something that impacts you over a long-term period would also mean you're technically eligible for our programs, and you're covered by the legal definition. The legal definition could be quite overwhelming to look at, but the best way to see it as chronic illness, mental health condition, or a disability, you qualify for our programs and you're covered by the definition. That's the best way to go about it. That's how I would recommend.
Right, thanks. And I'll stick with you, Ashley. You talked about, when you talking about the Stepping Into program, that your organisation will help with workplace adjustments. Can you just give us, I guess, what is a workplace adjustment if people aren't sure, and what are some of the examples, I guess, of workplace adjustments that you can help students with, either in the recruitment process or actually when they're on the job as well?
That's another great question. A workplace adjustment is basically any change to a process that allows a person to perform the requirements, the inherent requirements of a job to the best of their ability. This can be change in a procedure, the way someone communicates with you, the actual environment you work in, or even a piece of equipment, technically noise cancelling headphones. To cover some examples, it's not just part-time work. Some people also don't realize shortened work days can be classified as an adjustment. In terms of communication, you may find that written communication is much preferred, especially when you're receiving tasks. So, and workplace adjustment could be major tasks handed to you in a written format, a quiet environment, noise cancelling headphones are quite common. Flexibility of hours is by far, in my experience, one of the most common adjustments I've seen as of late. Hybrid work environments is very common as well. It's interesting, a lot of organizations have evolved to a hybrid work environment because of the pandemic. And a lot of our interns, applicants have said that it actually makes it a lot more accessible for them. Something we do with our applicants is that we will actually in the interview discuss with you your current university adjustments. And we'll see how we can translate them to the workplace. But sometimes you may find things don't translate necessarily as well. For example, having an extra week to complete an assignment. So we will try to step you through a normal day in the workplace. That's what I would like to. It's 9 a.m., you're going into the office and try to visualize this. And then we start thinking about the barriers that you may face and what could help take down that barrier. I was having a conversation with someone actually last week, and they were like, the idea of me working after 3, I would not be able to. And I was like, that indicates a shortened workday may be beneficial for you. But I think when we think of workplace adjustments, more often than not, in my experience, in most of our organizations we speak to, it's usually something very easy to implement, cheap, and nothing very or change. It doesn't change quite a bit in terms of they're quite easy to implement. So I think adjustments can mean a lot, and a lot of people don't realize an adjustment. What could be an adjustment? Sometimes it's literally as simple as noise cancelling headphones, and that's okay. Sometimes you may have a longer list of adjustments, that's okay too. Something I would like to know about adjustments is that it can change. I like to think of adjustments as a living, breathing thing. It can change by the environment, it can change by the year, or even seasonally. Some people may find in winter they need a bit extra support in certain areas than they do in the summer. So when we think of adjustments, something I implore everyone to think about is that it can change. Don't close the book on them, always go over them. And it's okay to put your hand up and say, I think I need to change these, or update them, do a modification.
Thanks, Ashley. And just one more question around that, which I think you've sort of covered off in the answer then, but some people may not be 100% comfortable disclosing if they've got a challenge or they're after a workplace adjustment. Have you got any advice for those students or employees?
Something I would like to know about that is that in terms of when to disclose a disability, I think that you should go with your instinct more often than not. You may find that, for example, you have 2 interviews for a role. Your first interview, you do not need an adjustment. You don't need to let them know about anything really. But your second interview is actually a test, but you need a workplace a recruitment adjustment for that. That's okay. Let them know then. Under the DDA, you don't have to let everyone know. You don't have to tell them unless you feel you need to let them know that you need an adjustment or you are a person with disability. So I think instinct should play a part. If you need to, don't hesitate to request them because, well, they have a legal obligation to provide adjustments for you. Something I'd like to note is while we usually don't recommend noting this on your application, don't put it on your resume. I've seen this a lot more often than you'd realize. I've noticed, particularly because this is students, is that there's a lot of graduate roles that are under affirmative measures that are popping up recently, particularly in the public sector. So these are the only times that I would recommend you noting this because they are literally only for people with disability. The Attorney General's Department has a specific stream and application process only for people with disability. When you are beginning to look at graduate roles, every year I'm finding there's a new one popping up, an affirmative measure stream. These are the only situations I'd really recommend noting that straight off the bat. But it's something I just wanted to let you know because a lot of these are popping up, and this is something you will see particularly during your graduate hunt.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Emily, I might move over to you now. So Optus, I know, has participated in both the Stepping Into and PACE mentoring programs for a number of years. Can you tell us why, I guess, Optus decided to partner with and work on these programs, and what are the benefits you've seen from the students who have come through?
Thank you very much. So lovely to hear about the continued longevity of the PACE and Stepping Into programs. But Optus has been a member of and for some time, and has also participated in both the PACE mentoring and Stepping Into programs as well for a number of years. And really, if I sort of just peel it all back, we know that diverse teams are more innovative, perform better, particularly when we're operating in a space at Optus where we're always looking for new technologies, new innovations, being very much focused on customers and being Australia's most loved everyday brand. We know that there's a percentage of the Australian population that have money to spend, that are just as valuable customers than anyone else, and that is the Australian population that have a disability. And I think one of the really interesting things about, I guess, how we define disability is one of those things that any one of us can acquire, which means that we always need to be thinking ahead. So for us, it's a natural focus. We want to bring in that innovation to our teams, but more broadly to our organisation and what we present to Australia. We want to reflect the society in which we serve. So absolutely fundamental to us. What I would also say is, particularly for students with disabilities, students are innovating every single day that have disabilities to navigate a world that was set up for people that don't have disabilities. So I really appreciate the constant innovation coming out of individuals that do have a disability just to make it through a day. And it's some of those really small things that actually bring enormous value and create a lot of aha moments for people. There's also a big opportunity for our leaders and other people in the organisation to absorb talent through the PACE mentoring or whether it's through the Stepping Into internship, to uplift their capability on inclusive leadership, on challenging them to be better leaders, to be more inclusive, to understand different points of view, to stretch and challenge their own leadership in how they set tasks, how they track projects, how they navigate team meetings, all of those simple things which actually make you a better leader, a better person. So it's not just the value, I think, for the students, but also brings immense value to our own people to stretch them as well and make them better. And it's the right thing to do.
Wonderful, thanks, Emily. And are you aware personally of, or through the programs, of any adjustments Optus has made, be they big or small, for any students who have required them, or employees, I should say?
Yes, absolutely. Every individual is exactly that, an individual, so adjustments are totally personal. So working closely with the individual coming on board and their manager to ensure that they're set up for success. And again, that could be from anything totally minor, from small ergonomic setups, or creating some breaks and making sure that there's agreement and alignment on what that is. It could be as simple as the individual needs a fridge nearby to keep some medication. It could be the way in which the manager sets the individual tasks, and how they communicate and how they agree up front on how to track progress and success, and give instructions, through to larger tech adjustments, whether that be screen readers or magnifiers or all of those things. The market continues to evolve and evolve really quickly, which is awesome, because again, just gives us so much more choice. And a lot of those technologies are really individual, and also require individual sort of, personalization. I know that it takes some time for an individual to train particular software to get used to each other, etc. So anything through from the small to the big, really.
Great, thanks, Emily. Ashley, there might be students who are, still concerned about their privacy and what, how much is just disclosed to an employer. Can you just briefly take us through how AND manages a student's privacy in the process of your programs?
Thank you. That's actually another really great question. We understand privacy, and everyone's at a different stage in their journey in terms of sharing disability information. Something we do is that once when you apply, we will ask for maybe a letter from accessibility. Some people send through the adjustments, not just the note from accessibility that's sent to the the subject coordinators. So nothing that has a specific information about their disability type or medical information. That's something I'd like to clarify. You don't have to send us a specific diagnosis. But we do have conversations with you in the initial interview about what we call your adjustment statement. So we will discuss with you about the adjustments that you will need and request, and we will show you exactly what we will forward on your behalf to the the manager that will be doing the recruitment, who will be managing you throughout the placement. What we try to do is not pass on anything. We don't pass on anything unless concerning workplace adjustments, technically, which overlaps with disability information, if we're being honest here, as it's linked, but without showing you exactly what we'll be passing on before. So for example, we will pass on, let's say your workplace adjustment is simply, I need part-time work. We will pass that on. That is it. There is no disability information. There is nothing to do with any document you've supplied us, anything else you've mentioned. This is exactly what we've discussed in your initial interview with us. This is exactly what we've told you we will pass on. You may find that you don't want us passing on anything specific. You would like to have that conversation. That's okay too, because many applicants have noted they like to be the person running it, as it's their private information in a way, as some people do feel adjustments are quite private. That's okay. We will let them know, and we'll let the manager know to have the discussion with you. So the way we protect your privacy is to leaving you in control. We leave you in control by we will discuss with you about what adjustments we reckon, what adjustments you may need, and we'll put that into a bit of a statement. We'll show you that statement and make sure you know exactly what we're passing on, because that leaves you in control, and we will not pass it on unless we get your explicit permission. But we do not pass on any diagnosis, any disability information. We know many applicants do share this with us, but they do not need to know this. Managers, organizations want to know what can they do to make it a more accessible, more positive environment for you. And truthfully, they won't know what to do with a medical diagnosis or the specific disability information. They know what to do with a workplace adjustment.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Emily, I'll just throw back to you for one more question. If somebody in the audience or who's listening to the recording is keen to get involved in any of these programs or keen to join Optus in any form of early career talent programs you may offer, from your perspective, what makes a candidate stand out?
I think for me, it's probably two things. One is that a student has done their research. So someone that really has tried to get under the hood of what does the organization do? What are their key products and services? Where do they generate their revenue? What does their strategic outlook look like? Should that be something that is publicly available? What's their stock price doing? What's happening in the business news and the landscape that might affect, their, their business in general. So I think someone that's a little bit tuned into what's going on will be important. And that also, ties into someone who, when they're interviewed, has pre-prepared some questions for the interviewers. So really sort of looking at that research and preparation piece. The second thing is someone who presents as being excited, who wants to lean into the opportunity, is ready to roll up their sleeves and get dirty with all the opportunity that's before them as they enter the organization. Someone that's thinking about not just joining an organization in the short term, but someone who's able to articulate what they want to do in the short to medium to long term in terms of their career. So really sort of demonstrating that excitement and enthusiasm to join the organization, not just for a year or for 12 weeks, whatever the opportunity is, but someone who's excited about the idea or the concept of joining an organization for the long term, and what that would mean to them from a career point of view and what they're looking to achieve.
Great tips there. And as someone who used to work at Optus for a long time, people, once they get in there, they do like to stay because it's a great place to work. Kelly, I'll just finish off with you. If students want to access the support through the wellbeing and accessibility teams, how can they do that?
Sorry, I've just popped in the chat box a link to the accessibility web page for students to register through there. I will highlight that Student Wellbeing does offer a variety of services for students, accessibility support being one. So we do have the careers service that offers we do have counselling service that offers counselling for students, including students who might need some very specific vocational counselling as well. So just highlighting that as a service that we do provide. We've also got the welfare service. So for any student who is experiencing any kind of financial or legal issues or accommodation support issues, there is the welfare support available there as well. So we would encourage any students who need more information or need some support in those areas to please reach out to us at any time. And another area of support that we offer is something called the Skill Shop. So these are weekly workshops that we run for students who recognise as being on the autism spectrum, neurodiverse students or students with specific learning disabilities that might need some, face-to-face contact or mentoring or support throughout the sessions, just to assist them to transition through the weeks 1 to 13 of session 1 and 2. Those are, again, the link to register for those sessions are also on the accessibility website. But yeah, highlighting that if students are wanting assistance or support with anything, but actually not quite sure where to go for that support, the university does have something called a care report system. So that can be submitted for students or staff members who aren't quite sure where they need to go or where they need to send a student. But the care report system is also there for students and staff to access as well. So if you're a little confused about what you want or what the support you're looking for, or just generally wanting to speak to somebody about the extents of the support services that are available, that's a really good first stop there. So again, the care report, so I'll put the link in the chat to that system as well for students. But yes, we do hope that we see some of you at Student Wellbeing. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Kelly. So it's great to see, obviously there's a lot of support available on campus. If you're interested in the programs that Ashley's mentioned, they provide you with support through every step of the way. And there's employers such as Optus that are more than willing and actually hungry for students from all walks of life, with bringing in a diverse sort of range of skills and helping them innovate basically constantly, which is one of their strategic focuses. So we do have a couple of minutes. I do have a few slides to wrap up. I did forget to mention that we will send out the slide deck to those who've attended. So you'll see the links there and for the programs that you can apply for, and have the content there if you want to go back and review it. But if anyone's got any questions that they'd like to ask, you can pop those in the chat if you're more comfortable. Thanks, Ashley.
Ashley speaking, sorry. I just wanted to note that I know sometimes private conversations are much preferred, particularly certain topics in this space.
Of course. Yeah.
There's my direct email and our team email and our phone number. So please don't hesitate to get in contact.
Fabulous, thank you. I'll just share my screen again. Just got. Oops. Gone off slide. So just to talk about some of the support available in more detail. So that's the contact details. As I said, I'll send the pack out. It's contact details for Student Wellbeing. If you're actually interested in general careers support, as I said up front, I work for the Careers and Student Employment team. We're here to support you with anything from resume writing, interview skills, or just mapping out your general career plan. If you go onto Employability Connect, you'll find a whole raft of information about any workshops we've got up and coming, and you can also book one-on-one consultations with our team. And if you've got any questions that are specifically around careers, you can contact us there. We have a new Facebook group as well, so the careers team, I should say. So if you look for Macquarie Employability Connect on Facebook, join our group and you'll hear about a whole raft of things that are upcoming around careers. So employer presentations, workshops, those sorts of things. And we're also providing hints and tips. So I recommend you jump on there. On the 24th of March, there is probably one of the first, maybe the first in-person careers fair, a large one anyway, offered in Sydney. We'll be there representing Macquarie University, but there'll be a whole lot of employers there who are keen to get to meet potential early career talent, so interns, graduates, etc. So if you look at the Big Meet website there, you can register to attend. It's going to be held in Darling Harbour in the International Convention Centre. So as it's one of the first face-to-face sessions, if you can meet that, I encourage you to go along. And we're nearly, we're midway through our Careers and Employability Week. So there's still more sessions that you can attend, which are highlighted there. So quite a few sessions tomorrow and just one in the evening on Friday. So if any of these other sessions are of interest, go along. Some are in person, some are on Zoom. If you go in and register, if you can't, it'll tell you whether it's Zoom or in person, but if you can't attend, we do record all the sessions, so they'll be available probably within the next week on our website so that you can access any of the recordings for sessions that you've missed. So thank you. Just trying to stop share. I really want to thank our panel for taking the time out during floods and COVID to share their knowledge and experiences and talk about all the great support that's available. If anybody has any questions, do reach out to, as I said, the careers team after the session, and we can hopefully answer those. But otherwise, thanks everyone for your time and thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.